Alright, hello everyone, Luke Smith here. So, in today's video we're going to do another Cyraxx Wiki reading. This one's a bit of a longer one, so this is only going to be one article this week for this. Akron Police Department. The Akron Police Department is the police department that has jurisdiction over Cyraxx and his family. The APD has to constantly deal with Cyraxx, the Trolls and Sally, as they have called them over to 339 over 100 times, resulting in the police knowing him by name and being fully aware of his infamy, as well as the many crimes that he has committed. Despite having the power to stop a known paedophile, the Akron Police Department has never once taken any action against Cyraxx for sexting minors, threatening people with hammers and guns, threatening to end his own life, calling the police hundreds of times for no reason, and assaulting his ex-girlfriends. Cyraxx is classified as a 43 APD code for mentally disturbed individual. It's a bit like what the police call DSP. They called him a 220 or 220 because he's mentally disturbed. This is both where the nickname comes from and probably why Cyraxx hasn't been punished at all. Basically, the retard card is saving him for some reason, even though he should have gone to jail years ago and stayed in there. Cyraxx and the law. The law is a tenuous and malleable concept for Cyraxx. His views on the law seem to be limited to that of something people can get arrested for breaking, akin to the rules of an elementary school. He completely ignores the realities of the system itself, such as the separation of criminal and civil laws, the limitations of judicial power, and the practical realities of law enforcement. Therefore, he is under the belief that the amendments of the U.S. Constitution, which laws are laws which individual citizens must follow. Citizens. This is a fundamentally incorrect view, as the purpose of the US Constitution is to outline the powers of the government to protect the country's citizens' rights. Funnily enough, Cyraxx does not seem to know the Constitution except for the Second Amendment, likely due to how mentalized it is. For instance, he has a few times accused trolls of violating the Fourth Amendment for preventing him from making a living, while it actually pertains an illegal search and seizures. The thing is, even if he does apply and get a job, he'll be kicked out on day one, because as soon as they do a background check on him, he's fucked. It's like they'd know all about his paedophile behaviours. While Cyraxx will heavy-handedly accuse anyone he doesn't like of committing crimes to blackmail them with threats of prosecution, when he himself is accused of doing something illegal, clear and cut, suddenly Cyraxx becomes extremely nitpicky as to what constitutes a crime. For instance, after he was charged with assault for attacking a Arab myself, was attempted to for attacking a so he attempted to invoke the castle doctrine to what was that? Doctrine, I think that was it, to justify his attack as self-defense, failing to realise that there was an ample video evidence to show that there was no point did Aware of myself attempt to attack Cyraxx or trespass on his property. When he was called out on this lie, Cyraxx attempted to move the goalposts by claiming that the sidewalk in front of the house was within his property line, which I was aware myself was not even on Cyraxx property. He was on a public footpath, like a public sidewalk that anyone could walk on. Like, Cyraxx doesn't seem to know that because he's fucking retarded. When Cyraxx accuses someone of committing a crime, he believes that they automatically get the worst possible sentence no matter what. For example, when Cyraxx believed that trolls were smashing his relatives' headstones, he warned that they would end up in prison for 10 years. Realistically, this sort of sentence would only be applicable for cases where the body itself was exhumed and profaned, or if a veteran's memorial was targeted. Vandalising just any headstone will generally lead to either a misdemeanor or low-level felony, depending on the circumstances and the extent of the damage, but certainly not a decade-long prison sentence. Yeah, like, I don't know, like, if you deface a grave or something like that, like, say if you get like a can of spray paint, because like spray paint like a swastika or something on the on a headstone, I'm pretty sure you'll only end up in prison for like, I don't know, a couple of days to a week plus a fine, something like that. Maybe what is it? Community service as well. Like not 10 years. Like seriously, he's been ridiculous like that. Because Cyraxx never faced any significant consequences for his crimes, he gradually developed a very dangerous delusion that he is untouchable by law enforcement. Thinking that they won't arrest him in fear of being sued or exposed for supposedly leaving Cyraxx's family to fend for themselves against the trolls, failing to realise that he only had extremely lucky circumstances on his side so far, or none of the trolls has been arrested either for their perceived crimes against him. It remains to be seen how far exactly he will take this delusion. When he cannot get his way with the police, Cyraxx will turn around and blame the justice system and the APD for everything bad in his life. Snapping at them and making threats such as having one of the officers fired, or suing the police department and DA if they had attempted to arrest him. These colourful threats are quite foolish to be saying on the internet, especially when there's hundreds if not thousands of scrutinising eyes on you. Thankfully for Cyraxx, the Akron Police Department perceives him as nothing more than a impotent, there we go, raving lunatic, and thus do not take his threats seriously, as they likely would with a cognizant, functioning individual. Cyraxx is only capable of making these threats from the comfort of his attic, well into his comfort zone. When Cyraxx is faced with an actual police officer, he becomes very docile or attempts to act distraught and powerless to manipulate the police into believing his stories. There is no better example of Cyraxx's fear of law enforcement when he was arrested for assaulting a troll with a baseball bat. That was the aware of myself. The guy in the blue shirt. He's just holding up a sign, by the way. Like, he basically attacks someone for holding up a sign on the public right of way. When the police announced that he was under arrest, Cyraxx broke down in tears and screamed in agony, begging Sally and Ed to stop the police. Yeah, no, you wasn't so fucking tough now, was ya? You fucking idiot. Police interactions. Due to the immense volume of nuisance and repetitive calls from or about chance, the Akron Police Department had started giving little credibility to most reports. For measure, a internal call leaked in August 2024 between a dispatcher and a communications agent shows obvious exasperations about Chancellor Wilkins, as they do not refer to him by name. As not only have they referred to him by name, but they give little to no concern about him, filing most calls about shenanigans right away. On the 14th of May 2025, Owen walked up to the porch of the house and punched Cyraxx in the face after a short confrontation. Oh, bloody! That was last year. It's been like a year since that happened. I remember the stream. It's like, why the hell would you do that? Like, for like 15 seconds of fame, and guess what? The guy who punched him got arrested, and it turns out he had like criminal record as well, because there was like a load of police body cam footage of him like getting arrested. So yeah, why the hell would you do that just to get 15 minutes of fame? It's like, don't risk it, you fucking idiot. In fact, although Lorene's actions could realistically lead to criminal damage, namely trespassing and assault, the APD remained largely uninvolved in the matter, with no concrete action was taken against Lorene on their end. On May the 24th, Lorene was arrested for domestic violence and aggravated menacing, not because of his visit to 339, but instead due to an unrelated incident. Yeah, that's the videos I've seen. When the police showed up to 339 Lloyd Street to talk to Cyraxx, he did not hesitate to lie. Yeah, because it's the Cyraxx way. Officer interview. On the 14th of September 2025, William Gloryhole and Southern Harlot hosted a panel where they interviewed an alleged officer of the APD, who preserved their anonymity through the use of a voice changer. I highly doubt that they managed to interview an actual police officer for that. I really doubt it. In this interview, the officer states that over 200 calls has been made to 339. To the APD. Practically everyone in Akron Police Department knows Cyraxx by name, and according to the police officer, being sent to 339 Lloyd Street has become a passing ritual for some of their trainees. They state that while they initially tried to give the family advice and direct them towards helpful resources, dismantling Cyraxx's lie that the APD has provided to them no help at all, both residents of 339 Lloyd Street and the landlord of the house have shown staggering obstinance and refused to take action. This led to them being labelled as a late-stage case. In other words, APD has given up on trying to reach out, and they're now simply waiting for Cyraxx to commit a substantial crime to arrest him, which the officer believes it will only be a matter of time due to his degrading behaviour and mental health. While the 339 Lloyd Street issue has been extensively discussed in meetings within the APD, the biggest obstacle is that Cyraxx's life is entirely online, making it difficult to prosecute on the basis of threats has been made against the unintelligible people and delusions. In addition, certain loopholes in Ohio law unfortunately mean that Cyraxx cannot be arrested for being a paedophile. That is true. Unfortunately, it is true. Like, he cannot be arrested unless he actually like meets someone and like actually does something and then gets arrested for it. But from what he's doing now, he cannot get arrested, unfortunately. During the interview, Cyraxx briefly intervened to harass the officer and threatened to get him fired. That is why I don't think it's real. I think it's just one of William Gloryhole's mates, like they're interviewing, to basically like rile Cyraxx up, because they knew Cyraxx would do that. Cyraxx's crimes and arrest: domestic violence. On the 14th of February 2012, Cyraxx announced to his grandmother Sally that he would undertake a journey from Ohio to Kansas by walking and hitchhiking in order to meet a girl that later turned out to be a catfish. That is very similar to Chris Chan when he went across the bloody Americas to meet a girl. It turned out it was a bait. It was a catfish. It's very similar. Sally opposed to this ridiculous plan, causing Cyraxx to have a temper tantrum and physically assault her as soon as she had her back turned on him, the dirty bastard. His uncle Bill witnessed the assault and called the police. Cyraxx was arrested and charged with domestic violence. He accepted a guilty plea that reduced his charge to disorderly conduct and received a suspended 30-day jail sentence on the condition that he attends mandatory anger management therapy and undergoes a mental health assessment. And that's the thing, is like with Chris Clan, he actually did it. I think he left a note at his parents' house, and he just fucked off. We went on a road trip to meet this fake woman, and apparently a couple of days after he gone, his mother and father called the police and reported him as missing. Yeah, it's nuts. Assault on July 25th, 2023. Oh, that's 3 years ago. Jesus. A troll by the handle of Aware of Myself picketed on the front of Cyraxx's home, holding a sign denouncing him for being a paedophile. Furious, Cyraxx ran outside and assaulted the troll using a baseball bat. Aware of Myself managed to emerge unscathed from the altercation and called the police to report the incident and later press charges. During the evening, Cyraxx was arrested for assault and jailed the night before, being bonded out by Sally next day, because of course she fucking will. She loves him being there. Like, she loves the dangerous criminal who beats her up on a regular basis. This is what I keep saying, is like, the only reason Sally has him there is because she claims the disability. She uses him to earn the disability checks, and she takes it for herself. She's basically using him. That is why Sally would never let him go. Court proceedings lasted throughout the summer until Aware of Myself dropped the charges on the 27th of September due to the disproportionate amount of effort for the case, which was apparently set to end on a significant reduction of charges. In other words, he pussied out. This outcome naturally embodied Cyraxx, who started parading that he had won the case when it wasn't. It was just dropped. He didn't win anything. Indecent exposure. When Cyraxx becomes aggravated enough on Marty's live streams, he will sometimes resort to flashing his penis on camera to have the stream taken down. According to section this on the Ohio Revised Code, this constitutes as an act of public indecency, even if performed over a webcam. A troll call to the APD on the 29th of May 2024 revealed that Cyraxx was under some form of scrutiny over his habit of exposing himself repeatedly. Although this did not stop Cyraxx from dropping his pants on live stream thereafter, he became more noticeably aggravated about the topic and would clamour that he is not doing this wrongfully, no matter what the law says, as far as to claim that the APD itself is responsible for his behaviour by refusing to arrest the trolls. Yes, because the police not arresting you, well, not arresting the trolls, mean that you'll do it more. You fucking idiot. A threat to life. On January 6, 2026, it was discovered that Cyraxx's many death threats, including against the APD officers, caused him to be flagged to the FBI's eGuardian system. As a result, the FBI informed the Ohio State Highway Patrol about Cyraxx for a TTL notice, threat to life, which was then transferred to the Akron Police Department. Of note, the OSHP lieutenant making the open calls by saying that the TTL notice is about a YouTuber who is making threats to various people, to which an APD dispatcher responds with, "I have a feeling it's on Lloyd Street." Yep, they know. This shows how much of a nuisance Cyraxx has made himself to the APD. I wonder if they actually are still checking in on him, the FBI. I don't know. Right, the actual FBI section. Since early 2026, rumours about this will expand on that bit. Rumours that the FBI was now informed about Cyraxx and is now threatening behaviour. This was something, and it was something that was now being done against him. Who started this was the aforementioned January 6th leak call, where the Ohio State Highway Patrol informed the APD that a notice was received from the FBI regarding Clarence's threats against law enforcement. It should be said that this does not mean that an investigation on Cyraxx is currently going on. This is essentially means that Cyraxx was flagged on an FBI maintained database meant for cooperation between law enforcement agencies around the country, and the OSHP received the notification about this. So unfortunately we might not get anything out of this. Around the time, Cyraxx got into an argument with a YouTuber going by the name of Blackwater Studios, which culminated with Cyraxx threatening to rape his sister in front of him and his family. Oh fucking hell, Cyraxx, why? Why the hell would you say that? This already extremely disturbing event was made magnitudes worse by the fact that Blackwater Studios' sister was apparently 9 years old. In response, Blackwater Studios claims that he reported the threat to the FBI. Good. Cyraxx reacted by insulting Blackwater Studios further and telling him that the report was invalid because he did not mention his sister being 9-year old. He still mentioned his sister. It doesn't matter about the age. Like, he shouldn't be saying that kind of shit. 9-year-old beforehand. He completely brushes off the rape threat himself, since he was more concerned of people calling him a paedophile again than actually being remorseful for what he said. On the 10th of January, John made a live stream announcing that he'd stepped down from trolling Cyraxx, feeling that he had significantly revitalised the community. During the live stream, he hints at the fact that Cyraxx was now being scrutinised by the FBI, and expanded the topic by explaining the things that are going to reach a critical mass, and you want it to be far away from it when it happens. Let me just check my recording levels. Yeah, that's fine. Southern Harlot followed up with a now defunct r/Cyraxx subreddit by saying the right people are aware and working on what they need apparently. In regards to Cyraxx, in response to a user wondering if it means the trolls would step away, she answered by saying that they would have a more to move a little differently from now on. Given the context of preceding these announcements, several people theorized that the trolls were aware that something was going on and were distancing themselves from Cyraxx to avoid getting roped in to an eventual investigation. The same situation happened with Daniel Larson when he was arrested for making death threats against government officials, as several trolls and orbiters were questioned by the FBI in regards to their involvement with Larson. Yeah, possibly. That's the thing is, like, now we know, well, possibly not anymore, but so the FBI was heavily involved in Cyraxx in the early 2026 this year. So obviously, like, all of his trolls, including like John's like, we are not getting involved anymore and let them deal with it themselves. Despite now knowing that the FBI were the least aware of his online activities, at the very least aware, there you go. So it's decided less than 2 weeks later to play Billy Badass for attention for making the videos to kill the ICE agents. Yeah, that made it worse for him. In the video, the video in question was later reposted by the right-wing Twitter account, the Libs of TikTok. Right, this is what I want to know. Even though no one's going to comment in this video, and I don't really mind. Libs of TikTok, I always thought was a on the fence political account. Like liberals are on the fence. You got the left wing, and then you got the right wing, and then you got liberals, which is in between. That's what I always thought. But now they're saying, oh, it's the right wing. Then why are they calling themselves libs of TikTok if they're a right wing group? I'm a bit confused over that. But anyway, exposing Cyraxx and his threat to millions of people and causing him to go viral. Even briefly reaching the top 4 most trending topics on the platform, on the Twitter or X. This could not have possibly happened at the first time for Cyraxx, as there has been precedents of people being arrested for making threats against ICE Online. People are still getting arrested for making threats about ICE Online. Why the hell did Cyraxx get away with that kind of shit? Most of which received much less attention than Cyraxx that he got for his video. Likely after seeing the huge amount of comments pointing this out, Cyraxx desperately attempted to lie his way out by saying libs of TikTok account chopped up the audio to make it seem that he was threatening ICE agents. No, they posted the actual video. They didn't edit it at all. Yeah, they even had a link to the original video. Unfortunately for him, the full unedited video, which has since been re-uploaded by archive channels before libs of TikTok even posted the video herself. I thought libs of TikTok was a group account. Cyraxx later revealed that the FBI agents came in to question him about the video, although nothing seemed to have come except for a warning. He wasn't questioned by the FBI. Since the incident, Cyraxx stopped actively posting on social media. However, his lack of activity can be largely attributed to the Jackie something collapsing Cyraxx into not interacting with the trolls, rather than making a sensible decision for once and laying low for a while. I'd like to know who this Jackie is. As I'm pretty sure we'll get to her like soon, but I'd like to know who she is really. I know she's making a load of AI videos at the minute about Cyraxx. I don't know if she's a troll or a buddy troll. So police calls. The calls to Cyraxx's house have almost always been directly or indirectly caused by trolling, with the trolls calling in false calls and welfare checks to Cyraxx's house, even saying that a SWAT team and Cyraxx's family calling about the trolls. Cyraxx's calls about the trolls are somehow less justifiable than the calls he makes made by the trolls himself, as Cyraxx is a paedophile. Made by the trolls as Cyraxx is a paedophile and an active danger, while the trolls are just random people just messing with him. Cyraxx and Sally had called the cops to their house hundreds of times, usually for petty reasons. Cyraxx once called the cops because someone bought her donuts for her birthday. Oh my god. And Cyraxx called the cops to ask some questions he could just Google, like they know what fentanyl is and what model car they use. Yeah, you idiot. About 99% of the time, the cops get called to 339. They always tell Cyraxx and Sally to get off the internet and stop calling 911. The cops are the victims in this scenario, but they are also still predominant enablers in the situation, as they have done literally nothing to stop the false calls, only arresting the swatter and not issuing a single dollar of fines towards any person who calls the cops falsely. Legitimate calls. Out of the hundreds of police calls to Cyraxx's house, there's been a few known calls made to the police with any scrap of legitimacy, a third of them being on Cyraxx. 1. Police were called on Cyraxx for beating up his grandmother. Yes, that is a legitimate reason. 2. Police EMS and firefighters were called to 339 because a troll sent them a letter full of flour saying it was poison. Yeah, I can see that being a legitimate call. Like, just in case. You never know. Number 3. Police called on Cyraxx when he assaulted a rab myself. Yep, definitely. Number 4. A police report was made by Ed when people took furniture off their porch after a Craigslist listing was made about their furniture. Yeah, that's basically theft right there. Number 5. A police report was made by Sally over someone damaging their fence on their property. Yeah, I can see that being a legitimate reason. 6. Police, EMS and firefighters were called to 339 when Ed overdosed on painkillers. I don't know why firefighters for. You need an ambulance for that, but yeah, I guess that is a legitimate reason. Number 7. The police were called after a Ween trespassed and assaulted Cyraxx by throwing the first punch. Yes, another good reason. Even though, like, Cyraxx, yeah, he needs absolute shit kicked out of him, to be fair, to teach him a lesson, but unfortunately, it's trespassing as well. You just can't do that. Even if you do hate him, just like, chill the fuck out. Watch from afar. Urban spelunking, and they got a main article for that. Right, we got the sources here. Oh bloody hell! I'm not gonna read all this because I've already gone a bit like over the mark, like over the time for this. This was last updated on the 21st of July, 2026. 2 days ago. So that was it. For the Akron Police Department. 30 minutes, yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely just doing this one. Next week I'll be covering Sally and possibly another one. I'm not quite sure how long the Sally one is. But yeah, hope you've enjoyed this one. I'll see you guys next time.